If you've ever wondered how to tip on Instacart or if you should tip on Instacart, you're in the right place. I'm Nadia, your gig economist, and today we're going to look at how to tip on Instacart. Before we get started, let me just say, yes, Instacart is part of the tip-based industry. Without tips, we wouldn't make a living. You can say what you want. I've heard it all before. Get a real job, or Instacart should pay you more. Why should I tip? But that's not the point of this video. For the purpose of this video, let's assume you and I are playing the Instacart game. So let's get started. In order to determine how much to tip, I think it's important to understand how much Instacart pays per order. Instacart pays between $7 and $9 per order, and that often includes mileage. I make $9 per order in my area. Shoppers a few towns over make $7. Some pockets of the West Coast may see a slightly higher base pay, but just assume that your shopper makes between $7 and $9 for your order. And that's before gas and taxes. Sometimes Instacart will add a little bit of extra pay for higher mileage and higher item count orders, but for the most part, let's assume we make $7 to $9. Let's look at a few more factors to consider when tipping. The type of store you're ordering from. Just a few items at Costco could take up to an hour, as you can see here, and if it were just up to my Instacart pay, I would have made $9 for that hour before gas and taxes. So yes, you might just have a few items, but that could take quite a while to navigate and to stand in checkout lines that are incredibly long, especially on the weekends. So $2 is of course never enough. But you also need to consider that big box stores are not as common, so they're not on every corner, and I might have to drive quite far to one, and you probably live quite far from one, so that's also a factor when tipping. For whatever reason, customers who order from Aldi often choose the no tip or $2 tip option. And that's really not sufficient, especially for this order. It would take quite a while to bag, since we have to bag at Aldi and no one does it for us. So I'm not quite sure why customers choose to tip less at Aldi. Many retailers offer free shipping and curbside pickup, but if you choose to send an Instacart shopper to do your shopping for same-day delivery, make sure you pay for that urgency. I suggest a minimum of $10 for those types of orders, including orders from liquor stores. For those types of orders, also consider your distance from the store. If you're over 10 miles, add an additional $5. Your distance from the store matters. Again, I do get paid for mileage, but it's usually grouped into that base pay of $9. So please be mindful of your distance from the store and compensate your shopper accordingly. Your item count, of course, matters, but just a few items is no excuse to not tip. As you can see, a lot of customers assume that just a few items is no big deal. We don't live at the store, we're not store employees, we're not even Instacart employees, we're independent contractors, we use our own vehicle to drive to the store. Instacart doesn't compensate us for that time or mileage. Once we're at the store, we have to brave the crowds, sometimes stand in long deli lines and checkout lines, just like you would, but you're paying for that comfort and convenience of not having to do that. Once I deliver, I don't just have another order lined up. Instacart isn't an hourly sort of gig. It shows me available orders nearby, and I have to be lightning fast to accept a good order because I'm competing with hundreds, maybe even thousands of other shoppers looking at that order. So whether you have just a few items or a larger order, know that a $2 tip is never enough. Neither is that 5% off your order total. It just doesn't cut it. Here are some examples at regular grocery stores that have that 5% or the $2 tip. This order is one of those $2 tip examples, of which I see many throughout the day. It has 59 items, so it would take a fast shopper about an hour just for shopping. This order, while it does have a $15 tip, would take close to 2 hours just shopping, including checkout, because it has quite a few items and checkout does take a while for that many items. Again, this order has a $10 tip, but would still take an hour just shopping, so a $25 tip would make this a more attractive order. So what about the restaurant tipping standard? Let's take a look at that. The 15+% off the top of your order is a good start and usually works very well for orders above $100. Anything under $100, you might have to adjust to 25-30%. so you don't end up with that dreaded $2 tip. Another way you can look at it is tipping half your item count as a minimum. So if you have 40 items, tip $20 at least. And if you have 60 items, $30, and so on. Think of Instacart as nothing more than a platform that connects you, the customer, looking for a shopper for hire. It's like a recruiter, and once that employee provides you with the service, you're not going to say, oh, I already paid the recruiter, so I'm not going to pay you, right? I know Instacart's business model, where you, the customer, is expected to compensate your shopper almost entirely, isn't exactly amazing, but that's for another day. I know there are quite a few bad shoppers. Instacart will allow anyone to sign on to shop, and it doesn't really provide a great amount of training. That's probably why you've ended up with your fair share of weird replacements and missing items. There are, however, quite a few good shoppers, and we value our customers. Thank you for watching, and I hope this was helpful. If you've ever wondered how you've ended up with weird replacements or missing items on Instacart, here are my 5 things to make ordering on Instacart a smoother process.